Hi, I'm Jim Hart, one of the founders of Lionfish University, and here with Stacey Frank at DEMA. And this is part of our silver lining theme that we have about the lionfish invasion. If there is a silver lining to these little things coming in and eating everything and destroying the native reef fish and the reefs, it's also created bonds and friendships with people that we might have never met or had an opportunity to meet if it wasn't for lionfish. And probably the most important cog in this little wheel is sitting with us, Neil Van Niekerk today. And Neil, we met in Little Cayman, God, 2014, 2010, 2010,
Yeah, 2010,
Yeah.
2011. Yeah.
And you were managing the Southern Cross Club, but you also became a leader
Mm.
in the lionfish problem in Little Cayman. So my first question to you, hi, Neil.
Hi, how are you?
Uh,
Nice to see you
I
guys.
wish we were all on the beach.
University and helped us
Uh,
with many projects for many years.
Yeah, and so the question that we always ask everybody is how did the lionfish invasion change your life?
Oh, Jim, I'm so fortunate. Um, having a particular skill set at that very time in my life when I learned about lionfish. Um, I became a natural ambassador to that environment as we are as divers. Um, and Here we were faced with a problem, watching it unfold in real time in front of us. About an indiscriminate generalist predator that was literally taking away the environment that we love to visit. And being a hotel manager and a dive tourism operator, I saw that as a very significant threat to our business. And we couldn't wait for anyone else to change that for us. We were the only people with the skills that could go and change it. And so, when you ask how it changed my life, it set me upon a journey where I was able to take the very unique knowledge that I had and then apply that in a real world application where I had to deal with the government and with stakeholders and other operators and learning institutions like University of Florida, where we were able to design an experiment to track the effectiveness of culling for the very first time. We knew we needed to get rid of the fish. We didn't know how many were out there, so we had to design a population density study. And then in addition to the population density study, we had to change the laws of the country to allow us to not only hunt fish inside of a marine park, but to do so using spears, which were outlawed.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we had to, like I said, work with the stakeholders and the dive operators because we couldn't do it alone. We needed to do it as a community. And so you, in effect, are creating citizen scientists at that point because you're employing them in the strategy in a way that is cooperative.
You said you created a community, and nobody got paid for this.
No.
You organized dive masters,
Sure.
and the resorts would provide boats and gasoline.
Yeah.
And once a week there was a regular call. But these were all dive masters who were not on the time clock.
No, so these dive masters, including myself, we would be out there, doing our normal day. And once the normal day had completed, then we would go out for one more dive. And this time it would just be initially it'd just be the dive masters and instructors on the island that were going out to do this. And then we would pick a particular dive site that had been previously selected based on the population density study that we were doing with the University of Florida. And then we would cull that particular area so that in the future we would go back and do another population density study and then see how much change had occurred. But you were doing that over time, over many, many dive sites around the island of Little Cayman.
And what was that? Did you see the population? So you saw the population. You were coming back with a couple of hundred fish at first, and
Sure.
then there was a change in that in that density. So what did you see, and what prompted the CCMI report on the effectiveness of culling?
So, what you find was actually predictable. You found that the population density definitely was reduced by culling, as you would expect. What you didn't expect, though, was how long it would actually take to recover. These fish, like we say, they have a very high site fidelity. So the fish that initially, when it recruits down to the reef as a juvenile, it stays in that very localized area for a really long time. In fact, unless there's a food resource shortage or a mate shortage, it probably will live in that same area for its entire life.
Right.
And essentially, that report showed that culling does work. And what was the effect that you saw from that report in terms of fighting the lionfish invasion? How important was that finding?
Well, we were able to design a method that people could transpose to other areas. So through educating people, not only by disseminating the report, but also by giving classes in other places or giving lectures in other places, people were able to adopt strategies, including a lecture at DEMA that I think I gave in 2011 or 12, I'm not sure. But people were able to adopt the same strategy in other areas. And I myself have visited other islands, most recently in Curacao, where I attended a lionfish workshop. And the person teaching the lionfish workshop told me that I was the one that he learned that from at DEMA. So I know that it's worked because I've seen it firsthand.
Well, not only that, but it also, I think it probably inspired the rise of derbies, where suddenly the culling became a community experience, and mass culling at the derbies, I think, was born out of the fact that that there seemed to be an effectiveness, also a social phenomenon.
I think we're very lucky because at that time when this all started, reef, and particular people like Lad Akins, they were able to use their very particular network to gain a really large audience. And, without that, I don't think the lionfish culling could have been successful at all. They're using other learning institutions and working on different papers with other researchers. They were able to build upon, many short successes and gain a lot of ground in a short amount of time. And I think as far as the lionfish invasion, especially in the Caribbean Atlantic, I think that is most meaningful. We were able to act very quickly and using a very simple method in a way that's fun for people, and build upon the successes one on top of the other, including lionfish menu cookbooks and all kinds of cool things that people were able to all of a sudden find themselves having meaning in what was otherwise just a recreational activity for themselves.
Rachel Bowman said it in one of our other interviews. She said, hey, we're having fun. We're making money. Yep. We're saving the planet. What more could you want? Except to be stung, of course. You don't want to be stung. But it was so interesting because I remember, I don't think any of us knew the impact that little study might have on an entire sort of explosion in the lionfish community of mass cullings. And
early on, there was so much disagreement about whether culling actually worked. And I remember somebody contacted us and said it's like trying to pick up every grain of sand on the beach. You're not able to do it. And the studies, I think, gave that some hope that it was possible, as we've seen it do, that we did control in some areas where it's consistent and has controlled the populations.
Well, hopefully we can have some success with our friends in the Mediterranean that we're working with by bringing these ideas to the table. So I really want to thank you personally for allowing us to be involved in experiencing those culls and shooting the footage that we shot and seeing the camaraderie between the dive masters and the community it created. At some point, we will all be back in the water hunting lionfish again, I'm sure.
I truly hope as soon as possible.
Change our life.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, guys,
for all your hard work.
Yay.
Great to see you guys.
Bye. Say goodbye to the lionfish.
Bye.